Hello Summoners and welcome back to our very first upcoming changes video. My name is Christoph and today I'm going to be going over the upcoming changes for patch 9.7 that are in the PBE right now. Do keep in mind that anything on the PBE isn't set in stone and can be changed in the future. If you like this type of video, then please let us know by leaving a comment down below and click like and subscribe. Starting with the top lane, there'll be a lot of champions that are being changed for next patch. Dr. Mundo received a big buff on his E a few patches ago, which increased the amount of magic resist he receives. However, this buff wasn't enough to bring him back into the meta, so he's currently receiving another buff in the PBE. His Q, Infected Cleaver, will have its damage increased by a sizable amount, and it will definitely help him out. In addition, his E will be receiving another buff, but to its bonus AD this time. If these changes make it to the live server, you should expect to see a lot more Dr. Mundos in your next ranked games, so make sure you have those grievous wounds ready. Cho'Gath has also received a buff a few patches ago on his E, but it wasn't enough to make an impact on his stance in the meta. Cho'Gath currently has a very light buff on his Q on the PBE right now. It will be lowered by 2 seconds, which will allow him to trade back more often during the laning phase. Our analysts believe that this change won't impact Cho'Gath too much, and he'll likely stay in the same tier as the current patch. Riot is toying around with Garen having a buff on his W on the PBE right now. His W's cooldown is lowered by a small amount, followed by a nerf to its armor, magic resist, and duration. However, his W will potentially also receive a compensation buff by increasing the bonus max stacks from 40 to 50. Overall, this is a buff, but much like Cho'Gath, he'll probably remain in the same spot as this patch. Ever since the nerf to Oblivion Orb, Rumble has been slowly disappearing from the meta. To help him come back from his former glory, his W will have its bonus movement speed increased from 10%. Also, his ultimate Equalizer will have its cooldown reduced by a decent amount as well. Although these buffs don't seem very big, you should never underestimate cooldown buffs on a champion that doesn't build any CDR items early. You usually see Rumble rush Oblivion Orb into Liandry's, so having 10 to 20 seconds off your ultimate can be game-changing. Kayle is one of the strongest top laners in the game right now and is sitting comfortably in her S tier for patch 9.6. On the PBE, they're toying around giving her a few nerfs to her kit and will likely drop her down to the A tier. Her AD has been reverted from 52 to 50, her AD per level has been reduced by 0.5, and her armor per level will potentially be reduced by 0.5 as well. Kayle's Radiant Blast could have her mana cost increased by 10, which would affect her already horrendous early game. In addition, her W will have its AP ratio lowered by a small amount, but also have its mana cost buffed. Lastly, Kayle's E Starfire Spellblade will have its mana cost reverted to 60 at all ranks, followed by a nerf to its damage. If these changes make the live server next patch, she will surely be an A-tier champion. Urgot received a mini rework at the start of this patch, and it turns out he's way too strong right now. He's hovering between A and S tier in 3 roles at the moment, and is looking to have some nerfs for the next patch. So the PBE, his E Disdain has its cooldown increased by a small amount, followed by an increase to its mana cost. His ultimate, Fear Beyond Death, also has its damage lowered by 25 at all ranks as well. Urgot will still be a strong pick if these nerfs make the live server, and they'll only affect him slightly. Kayn is supposed to have a buff for next patch, but the current planned changes to his E on Shadow Assassin form have been reverted. We'll have to wait and see if the balance team decides to change anything for patch 9.7, or if they'll delay it for one patch more. Onto the mid lane. Azir has been slowly seeing more play, but still needs a lot more love to come back into the meta. He currently has small buffs on his HP regen per level and the damage on his Q. These buffs aren't anything huge, but will help him out a lot. Lissandra has been sitting at the top of the mid lane tier list for far too long. Her Q, Ice Shard, has its cooldown increased from 6 seconds to a whopping 10 seconds. This nerf is huge for her and will likely drop her down to A tier if it makes it live next patch. Sylas is one of the strongest mid laners in the game right now, and almost every pro player has been playing him extensively. His base HP per level is lowered from 9.5 to 7.5, and his Q, Chain Lash, has its damage nerfed in the later stages of the game. Sylas will still be a strong pick even if these nerfs do go through on the live server. Now let's go into supports. Pyke is actually in a good spot in the meta right now, but is looking to have some buffs for patch 9.7. His Q, Bone Skewer, will have its cooldown lowered by a small amount in the early game, followed by a buff to its E Stun duration. These buffs are very small, but it'll definitely make Pyke a lot stronger than he is right now. Leona's been seeing a lot less play ever since the nerf to Zeke's combined with Morgana seeing much more play since her rework. To help Leona out a bit, she currently has her E cooldown lowered by a small amount. Morgana is really strong right now in both support and mid lane and is well overdue for a nerf. Her HP per level will be lowered from 5.5 to 4.5, and her W Tormented Shadow has its percent damage lowered by 2%. Dark Seal has become a common pickup for many mid lane champions. The extra healing combined with Time Warp Tonic and Corrupting Potion has been a really strong combo for quite some time. Dark Seal is looking to have its AP decreased from 15 to 10 and will become a much less popular early pickup. Cinderhulk has been seeing a lot less play due to a lot of nerfs made to it during the past few seasons. To help jungle build paths become more diverse, it'll have its bonus damage to monsters and minions increased by 100%. This is a pretty big change and will result in us seeing a lot more tanks in the jungle if this goes live. Wit's End is on track to receiving huge buffs for patch 9.7. It will now grant 50% attack speed, 50 magic resist, and 5% movement speed. On top of that, it'll give you 15 to 80 bonus magic damage on hit and also heals you for the damage you deal with this item while you are under 50%. This is an insane buff and you'll start seeing people building this item more, so make sure you're prepared for that. Eyeball Collection has been your go-to rune for the third row of the domination tree. Ghost Poro and Zombie Ward have all seen significant nerfs which has allowed Eyeball to become the dominating rune. To allow for more diversity in the domination tree, Eyeball Collection will be receiving a nerf followed by buffs to Ghost Poro and Zombie Ward. Eyeball Collection will no longer receive a stack for clearing a ward. In addition, Zombie Ward will grant you an adaptive bonus of 1.2 AD or 2 AP for every zombie ward spawned up to 10 maximum. Lastly, Ghost Poro will have a mini rework and it'll now leave behind a Ghost Ward when your normal wards expire. These wards last 60 seconds and will grant you an adaptive bonus of 1.2 AD or 2 AP per stack up to 10 stacks maximum. Here's some more potential changes coming up for patch 9.7. Blitzcrank is having a mini rework on his passive and his ultimate passive. His mana barrier will be changed from 30% of his max mana to 50% of his current mana. In addition, his ultimate passive will be reworked to make Blitzcrank deal bonus damage to enemies he's marked. These changes are still in testing and will likely not be released next patch, but we'll keep a close eye on it and keep you updated. Teemo is on course to receiving a rework on the PBE right now, and there are a lot of changes made to his kit. Since there are going to be so many changes to Teemo, we'll probably put up a champion guide video on our YouTube channel, so make sure to click subscribe if you want to see that in the future. If you're an ARAM player, you should be quite happy about the changes coming to Howling Abyss sometime soon. For starters, you can now ban a champion that you absolutely hate playing against. Whether it's Lux, Sona, or Ziggs, everyone will get one ban, just like on Summoner's Rift. Secondly, minion waves will spawn more quickly, allowing games to become much shorter. In addition to that, champions will now deal extra damage to structures, which will also reduce game length significantly. Poke damage will be reduced by 15% from champions who are at least 900 units away. This nerf will pretty much target all those annoying long-range poke champions you hate playing against, such as Lux, Xerath, Ziggs, Jace, Kai'Sa, and many more. A new summoner spell has been added to the Abyss, and it's called Backtrack. Backtrack will now mark an area for 3 seconds, and once those 3 seconds pass, you'll teleport back to the spot that you marked. This will be a great combo for champions such as Skarner, who can use Backtrack combined with his ultimate to pull enemies back to your own turret. There are a lot of changes being made to specific runes, champions, and items in this game mode as well, and you can check them all out on Riot's official boards. That's it for our upcoming changes for patch 9.7. Let us know what change you're most excited about down below. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in seeing this type of content on the regular. Make sure to check out ProGuides.com for some content made by your favorite pro players. The link will be down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the Rift.